in love as we, and bewildered by the world we see. Why do people that are so, only those in love would know what a town without pity can do?
Hello and welcome to the Rockville Beat. This is the first show that we have taped for the Rockville Beat, a new show to highlight the culture and economy of Rockville, past, present, and future. And what better way for us to launch this new show than have a series of interviews with people who knew Gene Pitney, the Rockville Rocket. So joining me tonight for our very first show are three sisters, the Frederick sisters. Next to me is Emily Santinella, and then next to her is Heidi Waters, and then next to her is Heather Parker. And they knew Gene for many, many years, and so we're going to unpack their experiences with Gene tonight. So I hope you enjoy the show. First of all, Emily, where did you three grow up?
Well, we started in Rockville, but we moved to Summers when I was 3.5.
Okay.
So I grew up more in Summers, but my sisters grew up more in Rockville.
Really? Do you remember where your house was?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was 13, almost 14 when we moved.
Okay.
So a majority of my childhood was in Rockville.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was the house? Do you remember the street?
Yeah, we were on 9th Street.
Okay.
Near the firehouse.
Okay.
Yep.
And which school did you go to then?
We went to Maple Street School, elementary school, and then I was in 8th grade and Heather was in high school.
Right. Terrific.
Yeah.
And what is your first memory of meeting Gene Pitney? Heather?
I don't know. We were pretty young. I mean, I just remember his whistle. All that, always you knew where he was, and he was just a normal guy. Like, we didn't really understand how popular he was because we knew him, as a family friend.
Right.
So it was, to go to his first concert was like, my goodness, these ladies are singing at Mr. Pitney.
Yeah.
Now, what was the first concert you went to?
So they went to concerts before I did because I had moved out of the state.
Okay.
But he had come up my way, so he was south of Boston, and I lived north of Boston, and so he had gotten us tickets, and we went in, and it was my husband and I had gone, and it was the South Shore Music Circus, and it was funny because people were kind of looking at us because I was only about 23 years old, and there aren't a lot of 20-year-olds that had been at the show, and so at one point he said, I want to welcome a friend of mine from my hometown, and said my name, and I stood up and I was so excited. I was like, that's me. Like, it just was so exciting. But to see just that experience of people, all these fans of his and all the cheering, and it was almost like I was proud of him, like,
of course.
That's this side that he's just this everyday guy to us.
Right.
Always a part of our lives. So we're like, gosh, this is that side that we don't hear much about. That's just so cool.
Right. So Emily, how did you end up meeting Gene Pitney? Why was he a family friend? Where did that connection come from?
So it started, my dad has early memories of Mr. Pitney giving drum lessons to one of his neighbors behind his house.
I didn't know he played drums.
I don't know what he didn't play, actually. I know, right? That was, when he was a teenager. But we were at the Crystal Lake Beach and Boat Club in Ellington. And I think that's when we really all the family got to know each other. The families got to know each other a lot better. And Mr. Pitney had a whole bunch of his stuff from all the newspaper clippings from the start of his career, and photos upon photos, and memorabilia, all kinds of stuff. And he happened to ask my dad to see if he would be his archivist and put it together. So that's how that collection started.
If I'm listening right, the relationship started on Crystal Lake.
Basically.
It must
It
be.
could have, at the beach club.
I think they knew each other before that, but that's really where, we basically spent our summers together.
Wow.
All the members were like family, and he was a part of that.
We ended up moving to Summers because Mrs. Pitney found this house going up right around the corner from them.
Okay.
Yeah, we lived
told
down the
mom and dad
road.
about it. So.
Wow.
And their
how cool is
boys
that?
are just a couple years older than I am, so.
Wow.
Yeah. And then there's another one that's between you two,
Emily.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. Right. I think halfway between us. Yeah.
because we're 10 years
Huh.
apart,
boys.
and
Okay.
then they have a son who's about 10 years
years,
difference from their first two,
Okay.
so it's kind of neat.
Now, did
Yeah.
Gene own the beach club back then, or did he buy it later?
I think
was
he was like
co-owner.
co-owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So altogether, you knew him for a long time, several
remember.
decades.
I remember not knowing
Right.
him.
It
Wow.
was
Your
it was
whole
my
life.
Yeah.
Wow.
My entire life
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. How often would you guess you saw him in a typical year?
Oh, can't even count.
Yeah.
Regular,
Like once a
yeah.
week?
Often.
Or?
Yeah.
At
Oh,
least.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See
I
him
mean,
at the
we went to the beach club
or-
almost
Through the
every
summers,
day.
it was,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah,
especially.
He would stop by
Yeah.
Mom and Dad's
Stop
house
by the
or
house, or
something,
we'd see him
or-
at the
Wow.
post office, or
Gosh, she
anything
helped him
like
fix
that.
an electrical problem one time. Like it was.
Well, and when we moved, before we moved to Summers, we started school there because it was after winter break. So
Uh-huh.
Heather would go to the high school, and I had about an hour before I started middle school. So they would drop me off at their house, and I would catch the bus at his house.
Okay.
So it was like going to like relatives' house. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Wow.
like that. Yeah.
So having known him for all those years, you know, in the music business, it can be a sort of a snare with people getting involved in all kinds of things. And sometimes fame and fortune can give people a big head and a big ego, and they become a prima donna. But I've always had the impression that Gene never forgot his roots. And like it never went to his head. He wasn't Mr. Egomaniac. Is that
Family and
correct?
friends
Not
were
at
his
all.
priority.
Yeah.
Humble,
Yeah.
genuine,
Very genuine.
I mean, I
very
came,
nice.
I came across a picture of him with the Rolling Stones, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you like the Rolling Stones?" He just never talked about it,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and to
Right.
think now about all these bands and singers that he knew personally, and we had no idea because he
Yeah.
wasn't one to say
To boast
guess
and
who I
brag
know?"
and-
Right.
No,
He
was
wasn't on an
proud
ego
to talk
trip.
about it
No,
if you
not at
asked,
all.
but he
Right.
was never.
It
Never
wasn't
flaunted
flaunted
or anything.
by
Right.
any means.
Yeah, it was like a business trip when he went, you know,
Right.
to
And
concerts.
it was almost surreal
Huh.
to hear when people would say he was an influence or they
Yeah.
were fans of
Uh-huh.
his, because we're like, really? Mr.
Right.
Pitney? Because
Right.
I always have to tell people, like, when I talk about him, I don't mean to sound pretentious or anything by saying Mr. Pitney. It's
Right.
not like
Yeah.
That's how we
It's
grew up
because
knowing
he
him. We
was
never called
Dad's
them by
friend.
their first name.
No.
Oh, really?
We
No.
still don't.
He's
Wow.
I know. Mrs. Pitney's always like, Heather, you can call me by my first name. I'm like, no, you're Mrs. Pitney.
No,
I can't.
can't do it. It's really
Wow.
uncomfortable to say their first names because that's
Wow.
just how we were raised.
Yeah.
So he was born right in Rockville,
Yep.
the house right near Henry Park, and he used to go to Henry Park all the time.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like he never forgot his roots.
Never.
No.
No way.
Did you ever have an opportunity to meet his parents?
No, I think
so.
they were. I think they were gone by the time I was
Okay.
born, for sure.
Yep.
So, no, we did not.
What did you like the most about him, Emily?
His whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm,
Yeah, he
I'm-
The
yes.
best whistler you have ever heard. And
Yeah.
I think
the
he didn't even
songs-
realize he was whistling when
No.
he did, because it was like,
So
You,
automatic.
you would
time.
hear it and it would just like make you smile.
Yeah.
Like you were by yourself and you would hear it and it was just like this
Right.
happy.
Right.
It just gives you this
Yeah.
happy
You
feeling.
have to be cheerful, right?
Yeah.
Somebody grumpy and crabby isn't going to be whistling.
Right.
The beach club is a big building, and there's a lot of different rooms. You could be in one room, and then you just hear this
Just echo
whistle,
through.
and you know he was walking through to the beach or whatever.
Right.
It was just how you knew him. And
Are there any
Cool.
recordings of him whistling?
on the start of
well, Only Love Can
Heart.
Break a Heart. And
Uh-huh.
actually, that's why it's my favorite song, because
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, hearing that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there's a couple others too, but that's the best known one that
Wow.
Dennis
Yeah.
is on.
So he must have been a fun guy to be married to and to have as a father. It sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone over for pool parties and, you just see him, I mean, we grew up with him at the beach club,
Yeah.
in shorts and, just
Swimming.
walking.
Yeah.
He had a boat, so
The
he would
jean
take the
cutoffs all
boys,
the
or the
time.
his sons would water ski, and we would
We go
spot
on
the
the
water
boat with
skiing.
them
Okay.
and it was
Uh-huh.
just,
Yeah.
it was fun. It was
Wow.
fun summers.
Are you aware of any opportunity that he had to move to LA, or did he ever express?
I can't imagine he would even consider it.
Yeah.
No.
I know
it
that
came up.
he was sent a couple movie scripts at some
Okay.
point. But I don't know how much the idea was even entertained because
He's a small town guy. He
Right.
enjoyed going to the post office and being able to go to the Pitney and not be, you know,
Yeah.
people would just be like, oh, hi, and he's, you know, hi,
Right.
and he's not, you know,
Right.
Hold the door for
followed, or
somebody.
everybody
They were
was,
very- They were very respectful of him.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, they
Yeah.
knew he was who he is, and nobody.
They didn't have the paparazzi
No.
chasing
No.
him.
Nope.
Right.
There was a story. Paparazzi might have been bored following him. Oh, here he is. Post
Right.
office again.
Right. No meat for the tabloids.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There's a story where one time he was out in the UK, I think he was in London, and he was walking down the street with somebody, and he's like, "What is everybody looking at?" And
Yeah.
the person who was with him was like, "It's you. You're who they're looking at." Because
He was oblivious.
Yeah,
Right.
he just forgot that he was that guy when he was
Because
over
he just
there.
did what he loved to do.
Right,
He
exactly.
didn't do it for fame and glory.
Right, exactly.
Right.
right.
Very
Wow.
true.
Right.
And I understand he did compose some of his songs right at Memorial Tower, right at Fox Hill.
I know "Hello Mary Lou" was written at Walker's Reservoir.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
a good connection. I'm not sure what songs were written at the
At the
tower,
tower,
but
right.
I have no doubt that based on the notes he has in his in the archives, there's little notebooks with little lyrics written down here and there. A book of every song title that was used at the time, and where he would kind of jot down notes. I have no doubt that some of that happened there.
Right. And I know I was at the ceremony on top of the hill with the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a cold day.
It was very cold.
But I understand there's another bench in Summers, is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Where is that one located?
It's right on Main Street in front of
Okay.
Piedmont Hall, which is next to the town hall.
Oh, okay.
So it's right on 190 facing
Okay.
the road. So
Crushed in the flower shop.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So you mentioned your favorite song is the one with the whistle. How about your favorite song?
Oh, it's hard to pick. You know what? It's just it's comforting to be able to still hear him. You know, like it'll come on, and I'm just like, it just feels good to be able to still hear him.
Right.
You know, and I point it out to my kids now too. You know, I make sure that they know who he. You know, they'll
yeah.
ask me too who he was.
Right. And
Because
that's
they know Mrs. Pitney.
right.
You know.
And that's why we're honoring Gene with launching this new show, really focusing on him and his life, because how can you talk about Rockville without talking about
Right.
the Rockville Rocket?
Right.
And, you know, the years are passing by and the young people don't know who Gene Pitney
Right.
is. I mean, I'm an aging boomer and I'm realizing that time is passing by. Like I tell a young person, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. And they look at me and go, "What's the Twilight Zone?"
Oh,
It's like, really? Oh my gosh, I guess I am getting old. I know Gene was traveling all over the place, but was he ever involved in the community in addition to the beach club? Was he active in any local clubs like the Elks or the or active? I know he grew up in the church. Was it St. Bernard? Or was it St. Joseph? Or do you remember which one
And
it was?
here in
Yeah.
Rockville, I'm not sure. He went to the one in Somersville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All Saints.
All
Thank
Saints.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, All
Yes.
Saints in
Okay.
Somers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somersville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
he
where his
was-
funeral was.
Yep.
was
Okay.
the church,
Yep.
Yeah.
He was involved with that church.
Okay.
I think he did a lot of things that he kept
Quietly.
pretty low key.
Yeah.
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 You know,
True.
he was truly a good person with a good heart, and true to his nature, wouldn't have flaunted whatever
Right.
he
Right.
gave.
But you could call him and he'd be there in a heartbeat, or you know.
Yeah.
You know.
And he attended all our, family things.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was at her wedding, and he actually, Mrs. Pitney said to me, Gene really wanted you to change your wedding date because he's going to be on tour. Yeah, so he had that sense of humor, and they also, weren't they?
When
was
they-
he at your 30th birthday at Sun
Probably.
Valley? I
Yes.
think it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they really, they were just such family and friend. It was so important to them to keep that, and they didn't like to miss anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, at my wedding, it was funny because our DJ was a popular DJ, and
Okay.
he, Mr. Pitney, was like excited to see the DJ as the DJ, because I had kind of warned the DJ and said, look, this Gene Pitney's going to be here, and because I figured he'd know who he was.
Right.
And they were so excited to meet each other that it was hysterical. I was like, this is kind of cool because, to see Mr. Pitney so excited to see someone,
Equally
because you
excited.
usually see someone so excited to see him.
Right.
And it was really cool.
Right.
It was fun to
Wow.
see.
Yeah.
And where were you married? Were you married in a local
At
church?
Sun Valley.
Oh, okay.
In
Cool.
Stafford. Yep.
Cool. And where were you married? Were you married locally?
I was
around here?
I was married to the Summers Congregational Church. My
Yeah,
husband's
right on
from
190.
Suffield, so
Sure.
the priest in Suffield from Sacred Heart came to our church,
Nice.
and then our reception was down in Ava.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where were you married?
I was married a few years after he passed, actually. I was
Okay.
just married at Summers Inn.
Okay,
down at Copper
sure,
House Tavern.
sure. And then, did I hear right that all of you were baptized at Union Church?
Yes.
Right in Rockville?
Yep.
Yep.
Nice.
And
Was
my
he-
daughter too, actually.
Wow. Was he part of All Saints most of his life? And once he moved to Summers?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
You know, it's
we
funny.
didn't go to
like-
that church.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, he like didn't talk about.
Right.
You know, he was just such
Right.
a private person that.
Right.
You know, thinking about sitting here talking about him, it's funny because we know. We know so many things, but there's other things that we just never.
Right.
He was just had that private side.
Right.
That's
Right.
it's so respectful.
Right.
To be respectful of that, but
And there's
Well, I
almost there's
personally-
almost a protective nature.
Yeah, yeah.
in something
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I remember
Right.
being very young, very, very young at the beach club. I was probably only 3 or 4 years old. And I remember mom and dad telling me, like, now listen, if somebody comes and you don't know who they are, they're not part of the beach club, and they ask where Mr. Pitney lives, don't tell them.
Right,
Right.
Right.
And the phone numbers,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
All
because
of these things.
we always had that.
Right.
And that's
And-
kind of how the town is. We're
Right.
just all.
Yep.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
not like super protective, like creepy protective.
Right.
Respectful
just-
Right.
of him just wanting to just
There was a
relax.
boundary
Right.
there, and
Yeah.
we made
Right.
sure that what he wanted for a boundary was kept.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
can you imagine in today's wired culture trying to
Oh my
preserve
gosh.
that privacy with Facebook and Instagram and
Yeah.
everything else? How difficult it would be. I mean, with Google Maps, you could find the house, and I mean,
Right.
even
Very
if you want privacy in our internet age, it's very hard to keep that.
Oh, yeah.
different. It is.
Yep.
Wow,
True.
wow.
Yep.
How did Gene feel about Rockville? Did he ever express any opinions about his childhood experiences in Rockville, or as an adult, how he felt about Rockville? Do you have any memories of him saying anything?
I think it was just always his hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
was-
he loved Summers, but it was kind of like it is for us, having moved
Right.
from Rockville to Summers, the same thing.
Right.
Like they're just our.
They're interwoven.
Yeah,
Right. It's not
yeah.
one or the other.
Right.
I can't help but think that he must have had a nugget of faith in there that kept him grounded. Even though he was a quiet man. I know we played one song setting up this afternoon for this taping, and it was a song that's very powerful, and it gives you a message of faith. Now, and how a man could stay on track like that in the music business all those years, I can see where his faith probably kept him anchored in his family values and his small town values.
Sure.
Yeah, he recorded some gospel songs.
Right? Did he?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
As beautiful as you can imagine
Wow.
to hear him sing those songs.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
absolutely.
What advice might you give a local musician based on your observation of the life of Gene Pitney? Anything come to your mind? If there were a young person or perhaps an adult who has this gift of music and wants to do something with it, anything that you might have picked up from Gene's life that you would recommend they follow? Or
Don't forget where you came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's-
really.
That's the main
Yeah.
thing. That's the most
Stay who
important
you
thing.
are, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Keep it
And
real.
Keep true to
Family-
yourself.
Keep
and-
your
Right.
family first.
yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Family,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He cut back on touring to spend more time with his family
Did he?
when
Yeah.
when the boys were young.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
I was I babysat David, the youngest, a few times,
Uh-huh.
and I remember so that Mrs. Pitney could go to the airport and pick him up from a concert.
Mm-hmm.
So and I didn't think anything of it. She asked me to babysit. I babysat,
Right.
whatever. And she'd pick him up, and they'd come home, and he'd be in a suit. And then he'd, go upstairs and change, and he'd come back and down in, jeans and regular clothes. And then she'd take me home. And, I didn't really think, and later on in life, I thought about it. I'm like, when I think about where he just came from, I'm like,
yeah.
these people are going crazy. I mean,
the
people
Right.
are crazy over there.
Right.
Crazy
Yeah,
for him.
yeah,
yeah.
Like,
Right.
literally. So it's just like,
Right.
and so it was really, once I thought about that, it was kind of neat he's just a normal guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just a normal guy.
Yep. It was fun to see him. I saw him when I was very young at the Oakdale with the rotating stage.
Yes, that's
We
where I
have all
saw him
gone
too. Yeah.
for that one.
I didn't, but that's how the South Shore
Yeah.
music circus is too, the rotating stage.
Yeah, and
Wow.
just seeing him there on stage it's probably one of my earliest memories because it was just so crazy. It was almost
Well,
surreal
that
to see
made
him.
us see how other people saw him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
we always knew him as, a normal guy, a regular guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So to see him actually at a concert was really eye-opening and seeing that, hey, wow, this is what he
Yeah.
does.
I
Like,
think- I think-
we heard the record. We grew up hearing his records, his music.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We played a
So
lot.
to actually see him sing it was really, really cool.
I think I have a very high standard for vocals in concerts from going to his shows.
And
so
big,
young.
like an instrumental.
Oh,
I mean,
instrumental! Oh my gosh, his band
his
leader
was just so
phenomenal,
impressive,
always.
and there was so much of it. And now these days, I went to a concert recently, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, look at all those instruments! It's like Mr. Pitney's band." Everything's compared with him.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's
Wow.
funny the impression that it makes on you. As when I was about, I think 19 or so, he played at the Cabaret at Mohegan Sun, which has wonderful acoustics, a beautiful venue. We got to sit up fairly close to see him, and it was fun to see him as an adult versus as a little kid. To just it's a different perspective and it was still just so impressive
Right.
to see him and to hear him hold those notes and to sound just as good as he did.
Right.
He never stopped sounding phenomenal
Right.
in concert.
Right.
He had it always.
Right. And I can't help but think, just from a biological standpoint, because he didn't go down the road that a lot of musicians go down,
Right.
his body, he was healthier, so he didn't lose his voice
Right.
Yeah.
because he didn't abuse his voice.
No,
Right.
not at all. Right.
Wow.
Right.
I'm curious if he was ever over for a holiday. In addition to the whistling, did he ever just spontaneously in the living room just sing?
I mean, maybe under his breath, but it
I
was
would
never.
imagine.
It's not
like
like the
he would come
family
along
gathered
to
after
Dad's
dinner
jukebox,
and
though.
he
Yeah,
gave you
yeah.
a little mini concert or something.
No.
None-
No,
No.
If there was there was always a radio playing at the beach club when we walked
Yeah.
through, and sometimes you'd hear him singing to that. And
Yeah.
he was up with the times with the music too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he liked the old, he liked the new. I remember David Gray was one
Yeah.
of them because I went to David Gray concert and I was like, this is one of Mr. Pitney's favorite band, and so yeah, he was definitely. He had a certain
hum along or
Yeah.
sing a line or two, but it was never. And I frankly can't imagine him standing in the middle of our living room and singing.
No,
He wasn't that
He
kind
didn't have
of.
that side to him. Yeah.
Right.
He wasn't looking
I mean,
for
he
that
was
kind
very.
of attention.
If you start a
Right.
conversation, he was an easy person to have a conversation with. He was
Yes.
he's very much a people person. It wasn't
Yeah.
like he was this reserved, kind of awkward,
Okay.
social.
Okay. It's not like he was a shy introvert.
No, no,
Okay.
He was very warm.
Wow.
And he had this sense of humor that kind of came out a little, when sometimes when you didn't expect it, but
Yeah.
but he just always was. I mean, you just felt this kind of almost like a relaxation feeling, when you're around him because he was just this. Yeah.
Wow. How big a guy was he? I mean, any idea? Was he like 5'7", 5'6", or was he like mid-sized?
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Around there.
Well, he was taller than me. That picture that I have from our wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet
Okay.
he's like
Like Dad's
5'10".
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember I opened the door one day and he was standing there and to pick up a couple of the albums that my dad had in his collection of him with George Jones. And I didn't know where they are, so I just said, come on in, you know them better than I do. But I had like a growth spurt, and all of a sudden I was like eye to eye with him.
He wasn't a real tall man.
No.
If you
But
look at
he was-
the suit he wore to the Academy Awards, they still have, Miss Pitney has, and he was young when he did that. That was very early in his career.
Wow.
And I mean, our dad's not a very big guy, and he couldn't even get it all the way up on his arm.
Yeah, and we hope to have your father on the show soon too. So, along with some of the other musicians that knew him. So we
Working
hope to
on-
do a series as the launch of this show, the Rockville Beat. I'm curious, what are some of the ways that you're trying to keep the Gene Pitney heritage going in the community, in your family? There's this organization locally called the Gene Pitney Commemorative Committee.
Yeah.
And could you flesh out that a little bit?
Sure. It actually started about a year after he passed away.
Okay.
It is meant to be a scholarship and music education fund.
Okay.
And I actually am vice president of it.
Okay.
My dad is the president. Heather's involved with it. Heidi's involved where she can be.
Sure. Yep.
So
You're the Boston office.
little tricky.
Right, that's
Yes.
right. That's right.
So we do a $1,000 scholarship to a student from Rockville High
Okay.
School and a student from Summers High School who are pursuing music in college.
Okay.
So that's one of our steady, constant annual projects.
And if there isn't someone to qualify, then
Yes.
it goes toward the school.
Cool.
We find out what the music department needs,
Great.
and we make donations
Great.
to cover that.
Well, thank you for doing that, because I picked up my first pair of drumsticks at age 7 at a school summer camp, and I never looked back. So
Oh, that's great.
I'm a product of public school music programs.
Yes,
It's so important.
firmly
Yeah.
believe in the arts.
I'm still drumming today.
It's great.
Yeah. One of our other projects with that is well, actually, to go back to the scholarship, we recently found out that the music director from Summers, if any of his students were going to apply for the scholarship, he made them read the book about Mr. Pitney first, so they knew who the man was that they were applying for the scholarship in honor of.
And what's the book all about?
The book was written by Joe Angiolillo, and it's kind of the start of Mr. Pitney's career.
Okay.
There's a lot of pictures in it, a lot of kind of statistics
Okay.
about him. And now all of the proceeds from the purchases of the book go to the Gene Pitney Commemorative Committee.
How would someone buy the book? On Amazon or locally?
Not on Amazon,
Okay.
actually locally, or by reaching out to the committee directly
Okay.
on Facebook is
Yeah.
one of the better ways to do it.
Okay.
On Amazon,
Right.
sometimes
Yeah.
there's sometimes an upcharge.
Yes.
that
Yes.
we-
The
that
profit
we don't
margins
do.
on books are pretty
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
best bet is to go through the committee.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there other ways that you try to keep the memory and the life of Gene alive to your kids, or
Absolutely.
and how do you do that?
My kids have brought that book that we're talking about to show and tell.
Okay.
And there have been some teachers that say, "Oh my gosh, Gene Pitney! Oh my, I grew up listening to him," and and other kids get interested. And there were actually a few kids that their fathers or mothers were into music, and they said, "Oh, Town Without Pity, I know that song." And so it was nice to hear it. 9-year-old is familiar,
Yeah.
from, and I live north of Boston,
Right.
so it's not like they grew up in Rockville and know them from Rockville. It was, so that was really nice. So we tried, my kids, like she was saying, we talk to our kids about it all the time to keep keep that going. Yeah.
We listen to him a lot in the car for mine.
Right.
I try to give my kids a thorough musical education. So, we cover Mr. Pitney, Elvis, Chuck Berry.
Right.
Those are probably the big three that we listen to a lot.
Uh-huh.
And the recording from his concert at Foxwoods that was aired on CPTV.
Right.
That CD was positively magic because I could put that in the car and my kids would be asleep by the third track.
Wow.
It was great. They found it just as relaxing as all of us did
Right.
too.
Yeah.
There's no such thing that I'm aware of as a Gene Pitney museum, but in downtown Rockville there is Russ's Time, and they have some items in there toward the back of the restaurant. If someone wanted to go somewhere where they could see more things, where would you recommend they go? Is there anything like at the Summers Library or Town Hall?
The Rockville
Okay.
Town Hall has a
Rockville Town
display.
Hall.
Okay.
Also, we have something in the works with
Okay.
Eastern River Arts in Vernon. We're looking at next July,
Okay.
July 2018.
Okay.
Finally digging into the archives and getting a display together.
Nice.
It's a project I'm really excited about that I've been wanting to do for a while since I've seen how great it was. And we saw pictures of his display at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it was nice. But there's only so much space they have there because they have so many artists.
Right.
So to have a display dedicated just to him is something that we're really, really excited to be doing. And
Nice.
digging through the archives, trying to find the coolest stuff to put on display because it's everything from old concert posters to those random photos with the Rolling Stones to
Right.
all over the place.
Nice. And I understand you have an annual fundraiser. By the time this show airs, it'll be too late for this year's fundraiser. But next year, God willing, in 2018, you have a golf tournament in Summers. What's that about?
Well, you can probably say that better.
It's our golf tournament. It's the Gene Pitney Memorial Golf Tournament. We have it at Cedar Knob in Summers,
Okay.
which is actually a place where he did golf.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool to have it there. The owner knew him well.
Okay.
And, remembered him fondly, so it was nice. So we have our annual golf tournament. We have hole-in-one prizes. We have the only golf tournament that I've ever heard of that has a hole-in-one jukebox. Is one of the prizes. You hit a hole-in-one, you win a jukebox.
Yep.
We needed something related to music, so that was pretty cool. And we do a dinner too, and we always, thank everybody for coming and remind them why they're there. And
we present a scholarship at that time too.
yes, we
You
do
should
with
require
students.
all the golfers who register to whistle
Yes, that's
while they
right.
golf.
Well, maybe. Depends if they whistle like me or whistle like Pitney.
Yeah, I can't whistle worth beans.
Me either.
Nope.
Me either.
No. Well, this has been a fun time. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio. Gene Pitney, the Rockville Rocket.
Does an angel contemplate my fate? And do they know places where we go when we're gray and old? 'Cause I've been told that salvation lets their wings unfold. So when I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head, and feeling love is dead, I'm loving angels instead. And through it all, she offers me protection, love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, and down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life won't break me. When I come to call, she won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. When I'm feeling weak and my pain walks down a one-way street, I look above and I know I'll always be blessed with love. And as I'm feeling low, she breathes flesh to my bones. And when love is dead, I'm loving angels instead. And through it all, she offers me protection, a lot of love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, and down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life won't break me. When I come to call, she won't forsake me. I'm loving angels instead. She offers me protection, a love and affection, whether I'm right or wrong, and down the waterfall, wherever it may take me, I know that life won't break me. When I come to call, she won't forsake me. I'm loving